you're this close to the wild card in New York, Philly, Boston, and you do this, it's not going to work out. You're going to get roasted. And so I think teams are afraid of making these types of moves, but it works for the Rays.
Shall we talk trades?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Charge amount. And it's presented by MLB, 9 innings, 24. All right, let's get to all the trades. To me, I'd like to start with the Rays in general because they are controlling the market to an extent right now with the way that they're dealing left and right. Kratz, we left it with right before the Eflin trade was the last time that we were on for a show, besides the Jazz Chisholm breaking news show that we did on YouTube, which you can check out, and we'll get to the Jazz trade coming up in a moment. Are you surprised the Rays decided to go down this direction and go this hard on Cellar City? And
No.
The way that they operate as a business continues?
I'm not surprised by anything because the Rays do it better than anybody.
Yeah.
They rebuild, retool. I mean, if you look at who they've traded, they traded Isaac Paredes. They got Christopher Morel back. And they got Biggie, who comes out to Biggie, which is awesome. When he
He's supposed to be good, Hunter Biggie.
I mean, he throws 100 and he's got a nasty slider. So I'm not surprised at all because what the Rays do is they take their team and they evaluate. They're the best self-evaluators there are in this sport. They look at their team and they say, we're not good enough, or we're not, whether it's this year or next year down the road, and they say, all right, how can we flip it? And they're like, oh, Zach Eflin, he's more valuable. We can get pieces from the Orioles. Okay, let's do it. Oh, Isaac Paredes, we can do this. Adam, we can do this. Whoever they trade, they're always like, all right, well, we have a – if you look at their rotation for next year, if everyone comes back healthy, they don't need Zach Eflin. It's going to be strong, right? Their bullpen has always been plus because they figure out how to get the most out of guys. So, listen, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I think the bigger thing is that the Cubs made this move. Like, the Cubs made this move. I know he has multiple years of control, but Isaac Paredes obviously made the All-Star team this year. They obviously didn't like Christopher Morel anymore. He kind of had run his course, but is this the bat in the middle of the order that can get the Cubs back in the playoff race? I'm not sure it is.
I thought it was a chance for them to strike. I thought it was a chance for them to see what happens next year. He was available, and I think his price is going to be there, and I think they were done with Christopher Morel, which to me, the side of the trade that is huge is what are the Rays going to unlock with Morel? And we're watching a video of him saying bye to his coaches, and you sit there and you go, okay, what can they unlock with him? What did the Rays unlock with Yandy Diaz when he came over from Cleveland? He was a line drive hitter. He was a guy who wouldn't elevate the ball. Started elevating the ball, got MVP votes. What can they do with Morel? And anytime they pick up a pitcher, you're sitting there going, man, maybe we shouldn't trade that guy, or maybe we should actually call him up if you're the Cubs. But they exactly what AJ said. They're great self-evaluators, but they also live in a market that does not give them very much flack for making moves. They're going to continue to be the Rays. They do it well, but for other organizations to covet what they do, I just don't. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because you're gonna get if you're this close to the wild card in New York, Philly, Boston, and you do this, it's not going to work out. You're going to get roasted. And so I think teams are afraid of making these types of moves, but it works for the Rays.
Isn't it justified to roast them? If you're a fan and you're into following certain players, which is more important than ever, you really can never do that. You can't buy a jersey. And the team has how many World Series titles? Just going to play the opposite side here. How many times have they won? It's not like they were born yesterday at this point. Have they had any World Series titles?
No.
So has this worked to that point? Have they built a roster that can win a tournament in October? No. Also, right now we're in a period that might not last long, but it seems like wild card teams have a pretty damn good chance to get to the World Series and surprise some people. They're a few games out. I'm not saying this was going to be the year, but they are a few games out. Did we think the Diamondbacks were going to be in the World Series last year?
No, I don't think
even
anybody.
in mid-August? No.
I mean, no, but listen, this is a move, again, for the Rays and the Cubs for down the road, right? For both of them. What are they going to lock from Christopher Morel? Hopefully contact.
Yeah, but dude, Paredes is their best hitter this year.
I understand that, but they're also, 2 games over 500, 1 game over 500. Do you think they're catching the Orioles?
No, but
Are they
they're
catching
in
the
the same
Yankees?
range as the Mariners. I'm
Okay,
just
who has a better team on paper, the Mariners or the Rays?
the Mariners.
Okay.
But because they're fixing the offense, that's part of the puzzle. If the Rays started buying, maybe things change for
Rays
them
don't
too,
buy,
and they
though.
make a
Rays
run.
don't buy.
That's the problem. Also for the Cubs, I mean, we'll get into the Cubs side, but I think they were kind of fed up with Morel. Like they put a lot of stock into him this year, and it just didn't click for them. So change of scenery might help, but the defense was terrible, and he wasn't hitting that well.
I know. Contact. Are they going to find contact? Can the Rays get contact out of him? That's going to be the question. Can they get defense out of him? I don't know. His best position is really second base, I think. Yeah. But he doesn't want to play second base. So
maybe try
maybe outfield, but they have Yandy Diaz. I don't know what they're going to do with him. It's going to be, Biggie's going to slot right into the back end of their rotation or
but
back
Paredes
end of their bullpen.
Sure, but Paredes is an all-star.
There's
great player this year. I know he's been their best player. He's been a above average hitter. He's slumped in the last few weeks.
He is a dead pull fly ball hitter.
Yes,
that's it. He is a dead pull fly ball hitter.
He's not the cornerstone of a lineup.
Okay, but a huge upgrade for the Cubs, I will say.
From Morel?
Yeah, right now?
Yeah, I think
he's
so.
He's a much more developed player. He's a much more matured player. Morel's raw still.
Morel's going to fit in perfectly with the Cubs the way they are now. I mean, the Rays, excuse me. The way the Rays let people be themselves.
Yes.
That's it. That's it right there.
When the way the Rays let people be themselves and, he's got like all the stuff on his glove and he does the funny eye black and all that stuff. If you're not performing in certain places, that can wear a little thin. But in the Rays, they're like, yeah, do more of it.
Yeah, especially because they lost some of it just now, too. Paredes was really fun. Obviously, Randy was Randy. We're going to cover this side of it with Sahadev Sharma coming up soon with the Cubs and Isaac Paredes. So let's run through a few more trades. It's a small one, but Michael Lorenzen goes to the Kansas City Royals. That's the freshest trade we have right now. Walter Pennington, who's a pretty good reliever in AAA, kind of came out of nowhere. And for the Royals, they had some starting rotation depth that enables them to put someone like Alec Marsh into the bullpen, help with spot starts, whatever. You start to rack up the starting rotation for the Royals. Lugo, Reagan, whose velo's down a little bit, so there's some concerns there. Singer, Waka, and now you've got Lorenzen. And then Ken wrote, with the trade of Lorenzen, keep in mind the Rangers pitching staff continues to get healthier, right? So they could do this. They wanted bullpen help. Scherzer, Dunning, both back. Bradford, Molly, DeGrom on the way.
Well, it's good. It's a nice pickup for the Royals.
Yeah. Some innings.
Whether they put him in the bullpen or start him, he gives them innings. He's a veteran guy. He's done it. And that's it. Listen, it's a nice pickup for the Royals. They're striking. They're in wild card range. Heck, they're in division range right now. So why not go for it if you're the Royals?
They need another bat. Mm-hmm. They need some help, a little more offense, and preferably another reliever. I know they're still in that market too, Kratz.
They need strikeouts relieving. And if you're not going to, at the trade deadline, if you're not going to make that big splash for a starting pitcher, I would say right now the best available would be Tyon and Flaherty if they're available. But if you're not making that huge splash, add to your depth in case, because you just need more guys. And I think there's no better in-case guy than Lorenzen. He's shown it. He's shown what he did, help the Phillies last year through the no-hitter, got traded over there, kind of faltered at the end, but it was his first year starting for a while. So you sit there and you say, okay, we just picked up more valuable pieces.
What about Jason Adam to the Padres?
I like this move for both teams.
Me too.
The Rays got a little bit back for a reliever, late eighth inning guy, basically, not really a guy that's your closer. And the Padres need another bullpen arm to go with some of those. So I like this move for both teams. The Padres are kind of
they're kind of good.
They're kind of good, but they're also sneaky make moves. Like Preller makes moves, a lot. Right? Mm-hmm. He's not afraid to go for it. And he's making a move to get him into the postseason, like you said, and then see what happens.
Jason Adam is really good. He's been one of the better, whatever you want to call him, high leverage arms for the past several years. Got great K percentage, not super expensive, right? He's like a few $1,000,000 a season. Generally lost his ARB case, so he's making 2.7. Kratz, don't worry, not the 3.25. But he's great. He's one of the best relievers in the sport. And now the Padres' high leverage arms are getting really, really crazy. I would say, what is there, 3 or 4 guys that you're like, damn, in a playoff series, you get 5, and then you go to Estrada, Adam, Suarez. It's getting pretty attractive back in the Padres bullpen at the end.
They might limp into the playoffs because they need some of their starting rotation. I know Cease just threw the no-hitter. Waldron's stepping up, but if they can get whatever used, on the restricted list for, and I'm not sure about Musgrove's status, what's going on with him, but you sit there and you go, this team has just shortened the game by another inning. And anytime you do that, especially in the playoffs, the short series early, I love it. I love this move.
Dylan Lesko was a pretty big deal prospect, but he hasn't been able to find his control since coming back from TJ. But that's a good risk.
They got 3 of their top 12 prospects for a guy that isn't their closer.
Yeah,
that's pretty good haul for the Rays, for a team known for developing and knowing. Like Lesko, the guy who he just hasn't been. He still throws 100. He just can't figure it out. He's a high school kid though. Just a few years ago, he's a high school kid. He's still a top prospect. Can the Rays fix him? Sure. Will they put him in the bullpen and say, all right, just do the best you can for 1 inning? They've been known to do that, right? And then the other 2 guys, they got Homer Bush Jr. and the catcher. I mean, they need a catcher. They kind of had a hole there for a few years. Maybe he's the guy, Homer Bush Jr., if he can figure it out. I mean, this is not a bad trade for the Rays because Jason Adam wasn't going to stick around anyway. So get what you can. They got 3 top 12 prospects.
You know what it tells me? The reliever market is expensive. Fair Territory's out with Ken Rosenthal on podcast form at least, and I listened on my way here. It is expensive. The Phillies will cover that quick and plug the new show. But Carlos Estevez, closer for the Angels, Phillies had 2 high-level prospects with breakout seasons that can be starters, and they both go to the Angels. I mean, hey, who cares? If you're the Phillies, it's a great pickup. This might be the best reliever available because he's been doing the 9th inning and he doesn't have a high walk rate. Like if you want to compare him to a Tanner Scott, I guess.
Yeah, but this is what Dave Dombrowski does.
Yes.
He goes for it. He's like, prospects? What prospects? We going for it, boys. And I love it. If you're on this team, if you're a Phillies fan, you're like, we can get, 5 years from now, we'll worry about the prospects we gave up. But right now you have Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos, Real Muto, Turner, Bohm, all these guys lined up, ready to rock. You get a guy that's proven closer, throw in there with Alvarado, right? Great. Throw in there with Hoffman, right?
Yeah.
Kirkering, right?
This is what they were missing in the playoffs last year.
Exactly. This was the Craig Kimbrell role they had last year, right? Well, now you got a guy that's done it before. This is a great move for them.
And Kratz, they didn't give up any of their 5-star, right? This is the next layer down. They could become that level, but they're still on the younger side. They didn't give up the Painter, the Abel, who else? The Aiden Miller.
Right. None of those 3 guys got touched, and those are the big 3 that they feel like are going to be. Justin Crawford, he's up there. But you sit there and you go, these guys kind of made their names recently. They haven't been, so they've been improving. They haven't been those big names that you just mentioned. So to get rid of them, this is the time. Exactly what AJ said. This is the time to strike. If you miss, you try again next year because this team is going to be around for not just this year, next year too. So I love it. And the Padres system has kind of been decimated. So just because they got rid of 3 of their top 12, it's a good haul, but their system's kind of been decimated by the Dylan Cease trade and everything else that Preller's been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I mean, after seeing the Adam trade, I feel like the Angels could have got more for Estevez.
Really?
I mean, if you go by the rankings of the prospects they got, I mean, I know they kind of turned a little bit of a corner, but, you would have thought that they could have dug in for Estevez is a proven big league closer.
Rental.
Still.
Adam's got years. He's got 2 years left.
Yeah, but
2.5 years.
I still think you could have maybe gotten a top 20 prospect out of the
out of the Phillies?
Yeah.
Well, no, these guys are in their top 20.
Not the one article I just looked at. It was 23 and 28.
Depends where you're going through. Also, here's the biggest problem I'm seeing right now on socials. There are very few publications. The one that we partner with does a midseason update, Baseball America. Most don't. A lot changes in 4 months or whatever.
True.
So if it's an article that's going off some other publications, they might not have updated anything since February. That's way too far back.
And these guys shot up a little bit. These guys shot up a little bit. I mean, shot up. They didn't go from, 23 to 6. They've had good seasons.
Yes. Okay, so we broke in on Saturday to do a special show on Jazz Chisholm. Thanks for the team behind the scenes and everyone that joined us live as well, including our guy Derek at NYY Recaps. Check out his channel as well on YouTube. But I want to, A, get AJ's take, because Kratz and I were on the show, and B, mix in the Gleyber Torres comments. Would you like me to set the stage with those first, or do you want to just break down the trade? Because I feel like the Gleyber part actually now plays into it, since the Yankees felt like they'd be able to just do whatever they want, mix and match, put Gleyber at third if it worked out.
Use the Gleyber because they're important in this context.
Okay, so let's bring up the quotes here from Brian Hoke last night. He said, Gleyber Torres is not thrilled by the idea of seeing time at third base. The quote is, I'm a second baseman. I play second. Gleyber said he had a conversation with Aaron Boone about third base and, quote, everything is on the table. Asked how he felt about playing third base in the minors. He said, quote, I don't like it. And lastly, Gleyber said he had a combo with Boone about third base. Oh, same thing there. And that, I think on the Aaron Boone side, here it is. He's a little reluctant to try Gleyber at third. Torres prefers to remain at second. Jazz may be their everyday third baseman, though Boone said he sees DJ LeMahieu remaining in the mix at all the infield spots. I love this drama, AJ, because they have two players that are getting paid well and have been big parts of the team in the past that are severely underperforming. And now they have to mix that with competing and getting new talent in there, you know?
First of all, this is what happens in markets like New York.
Mm-hmm.
You don't perform, they find someone else. Okay? It's the nature of the beast, okay? It sucks for Gleyber, it sucks for DJ, it sucks for whoever's been in this situation, okay? Now, the player they got in Jazz Chisholm, to me, is an average player. Okay? His OPS plus, his career is 102. Now, everyone on Twitter and everything's going, oh, yours wasn't that high. I get it. Okay? But you take away 2022 for him, where he only played in 60 games. That was the year he had an OPS plus of 138. He's an average player. He's 100, 100, 101, 95, and then 20, you know. So it's like, all right, they're doing all this stuff. He strikes out a ton for a guy that's supposed to be a speed guy. He doesn't steal a ton of bases. Yeah, he'll hit you some home runs. Yeah, cool. Good for the Yankees. They're trying to change scenery. You know, obviously Yankee Stadium is a better place to hit than Marlins Park. But I don't know. I mean, they were doing okay. I know DJ and I know what Brian Cash was trying to do, and he's trying to get younger and he's trying to get more athletic. But to me, this is not an indictment on Jazz Chisholm. But now with Gleyber coming out and saying what he's saying, this has caused more drama, I think, than people expected. And it's going to be fascinating to watch how Aaron Boone handles Chisholm, DJ, Gleyber. Because let's not forget, Gleyber's a free agent. So Gleyber wants to play every day. Now DJ is kind of at the end, so he gets it a little bit more. But Gleyber Torres is a free agent. He hasn't performed well, but he wants to play.
Play what?
Play second.
Base,
that's where he's going to have his most value.
Yeah.
And now they're saying, hey, we're going to move you?
It's not their problem he's a free agent.
I understand that. But this is just, it's going to be fascinating.
I heard it say, when you're a manager, and this is so that AJ knows what it's like to become a manager, you put deposits. Every time you're hanging out with a player, anytime you're talking to a player, you put deposits in the bank. And so when you need to come to him and say, hey, you know what? How do you feel about playing third? This is what we feel is best for the team. I'm not saying that's what Boone said. I'm saying that if he needs Gleyber to play third base, that's when you take the withdrawal from all those deposits, all those times that you talked to him in the last 6 years that Gleyber has played under Aaron Boone. And you're taking that and you're saying, okay, I have built up enough cachet with you and our relationship that I can ask you to play third. With that, Gleyber is a free agent. Gleyber, if he goes into the market with a down year that he's had, he was hoping he would have another career year that he hasn't had since, I know he had an 800 OPS, I think, last year, but before that, it's been, his first 2 seasons. He wants to go in as a second baseman. He wants to play second. So when you communicate with a player, you have to be willing to hear the honesty. And not everybody just needs to, get in line. To me, I think the team is better with Gleyber at second base, and Jazz picked up to be a integral piece of being versatile. He might be their second baseman next year. but I don't think they're better with him at second right now.
There you go. It's not a bad thought.
No, listen, and this is nothing against Jazz Chisholm at all. Like, I mean, he's.
But their numbers are pretty close this year if you're going off the number you're talking about, OPS plus. Now, DJ's in another world, although obviously he hasn't played a ton yet.
But what
he's had no pop.
This is not a knock on Jazz Chisholm at all. It's just more interesting to see. Like, I'm just looking at the numbers.
Yeah.
Right? The numbers are the numbers. And that you can't hide behind the numbers. Like, the numbers tell you the story. But what's more fascinating is now what Aaron Boone has to do. And what the Yankee media and everyone, the Yankee fans are all like, oh, he had a great game last night. It was one game. I mean, I'm sure Gleyber Torres had some good games for you, too. I remember when you made the trade for Gleyber Torres and he first came up, you guys were talking about him being in Monument Park. Now, Yankee fans are like, we can't wait to get rid of this guy. Right? So it's what have you done for me lately? And it's going to be an interesting last couple months for Aaron Boone and how he handles these guys.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Great. I think he'll do great. I think this is what Aaron Boone does and why he's in the position that he's in. Anybody can slot Aaron Judge 2 or 3 in the lineup with Juan Soto. Anybody can do that. It's these situations. This is why I think Aaron Boone is a really good manager.
And what's next? Is this team good enough to win a World Series title now?
Does Jazz Chisholm move the needle for you?
It definitely helps.
Okay. But what happens if Gleyber Torres gets hot at second base and DJ gets back to healthy?
Great. That's a good problem. I would say the chances of both of those things happening are low.
But does Jazz Chisholm move the needle?
He can play outfield. Verdugo's not hitting either.
Okay,
I mean, that's the problem.
So he goes to left field, then you have Verdugo complaining.
Oh, well.
No, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're going to have
like there was no position other than maybe a starting pitcher that the Yankees could have, in a reliever. You can always add relievers.
But their offense has been dirt besides two players.
I understand that. That's the key. But you're still going to have guys complain.
Yes.
Because they're veteran guys. Now, Verdugo's only been there this year, but he's always played his whole career, right? Played. So they're like, hey, Jazz, by the way, you're going to left. Verdugo, because they're both left-handed. Hey, Verdugo, you're going to kick rocks here at the end of the bench. Think he's going to be happy?
No.
You think Gleyber Torres already said it?
I know, but there's two Anthony Volpe's not having a good year either at the plate.
They're not putting Jazz at short.
I understand that. I'm just saying they needed to do something.
I agree.
And I could make the case that even another bat could still be in play for them. And yes, definitely a high leverage arm. I know they're hot after Tanner Scott, but get in line.
I mean, Chisholm brings speed, and he's going to bring some energy.
Yeah. And you don't think there's anything untapped there because he was part of a very complacent team. He was kind of the star or one of the bigger names on a team with, and now he joins a ball club where they're like, dude, let me show you how this is done.
Is Judge going to grab him and be like, hey, bro, we don't do that here? Like,
no doubt.
I mean, he's going to have to,
yes.
Right?
I don't even know if he'll have to. I think it's going to be that. It's
just built in when you go to the Yankees that you just fall in line?
For someone like him, yeah.
Okay.
This
Good. I hope it works out.
This is not a bad kid. I think he got kind of a bad rep, especially lately, where it's like, I don't know if he can fit in the clubhouse. It's like he was in Miami. So anyway, MLB 9 innings, run it.
Wow, not bad for only one MVP. Here's how a 3-time winner does it.
That's cute. Call me when you get to 6:30.
Whatever.
Hey, that's MLB 9 innings. You can scan the QR code and download it for free wherever you get your apps. Get the best baseball game in the palm of your hands. All the latest from the 2024 season right there. You're looking at it. There's the QR code for you.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.